At the center of this tragic saga is 19-year-old Jack Elliot, a talented athlete and football player, known by his friends as an open and easygoing guy with a big heart and a reserved smile. He eagerly awaited the start of his business education at Texas Christian University, after which he planned to work in the commercial real estate field, where many of his neighbors in Newport Beach were involved. The university met all of Jack's requirements. It ranks among the top 20 business schools, boasts a large campus, and offers starting salaries for graduates exceeding $60,000 per year. Additionally, Jack was drawn to the excellent sports teams at the university. Before the start of his education in the summer of 2019, the young man organized a poolside party at his parents' house for future university students. It was there that he met Delaney Brennan, who planned to study merchandising in the fashion industry. There was an immediate attraction and light flirtation between the two young people, which grew into a romantic relationship. 8 weeks into his education, Jack and a few new friends rented a car and set off for a music festival in Austin on Thursday, October 10, 2019. The 3-day festival featured popular performers such as Cardi B, Billie Eilish, Childish Gambino, and others. Like most of his classmates, Jack had a fake ID that allowed him to stock up on low-alcohol drinks, vodka, and tequila. On the last day of the festival, Saturday, Jack's father, Brett Elliott, video-called his son, who appeared on the screen freshly shaved and ready for the evening in Austin. He looked attractive and happy, Brett recalls. That was the last time he saw Jack. On Monday, October 14th, Jack shared his plans with his mother, Amy Elliott, to go with his friends to Lake Travis, where one of his friends' fathers had a boat. Amy's heart sank. For some reason, she didn't like the idea of her son going on this trip. Let's call it mother's intuition. She didn't know his friends, knew nothing about Lake Travis, and certainly couldn't know how right she was. Of course, she didn't discourage her son from having a good time with his friends. So, jumping into different cars, the 12 students set off on their journey. Carson Neal, one of the teenagers, whose father managed a marina, and had his own boat, was leading the way. The young people couldn't resist stopping by a local store where they bought cigarettes, ice, snacks, and loaded up on vodka, beer, and hard seltzer. At around 3:30 p.m., they set off from the shore. Carson Neal was at the helm. Despite his youth, Carson had extensive experience as a captain and had undergone safety training for boating since the age of 15. It was a sunny midday, perfect for swimming and wakeboarding. When it was Carson's turn to ride, he handed the boat's controls to Elle Weber. Elle had been behind the wheel before, although she had never officially learned how to do it. At some point, the students ran out of beer, so they returned to the marina, where Carson grabbed a pack of 12 bottles from his father's office fridge. After that, the students continued their entertainment. At 8:27 p.m., an hour and a half after sunset, the boat suddenly jumped and roared as if it had collided with something. Carson switched the boat to cruise control. It was moving at a speed slightly above 10 miles per hour, with Elle still at the helm. It was only then that the students noticed Jack's absence. Chaos erupted on the boat as the young people realized the significance of the commotion. Carson turned the boat around and directed it towards the spot where they believed they had lost Jack. Friends shouted his name and illuminated the water with the flashlights on their phones. Many were scared, crying, and could barely speak coherently, Carson recalls. I tried to remain as calm as possible because I knew it was serious, and panicking would only worsen the situation. He jumped into the water, checked the propeller, and searched for Jack a little longer. However, after searching for no more than 5 minutes, the students headed towards the shore, realizing that they couldn't do anything more on the lake. In that moment, amid the chaos, horror, and panic, a lie was born. On their way back, the teenagers poured the remaining alcohol overboard. Since both Carson and Elle had been drinking, Carson consumed about 5 bottles of beer, while Elle had 2 seltzers and 4 shots of vodka. They convinced another student, Anthony Salazar, to claim that he was the one operating the boat. Anthony was feeling unwell that day and hadn't consumed anything. Obviously, out of a sense of solidarity with his friends, he agreed to go along with the trick. Elle made the distress call to the rescue service. For some inexplicable reason, she identified herself as Elle Macpherson to the police, although she later claimed to be unaware of the name of the famous supermodel and actress. When the teenagers arrived at the shore, they were already being awaited by officers from the Travis County Sheriff's Office. The individuals were interrogated separately. However, their tangled stories didn't add up and would not come together for a long time. That night in Corona Del Mar, Brett Elliott answered a call from a friend who asked if he had heard anything from Jack, as there was news circulating on social media about an incident involving TCU students on a boat. Brett wasn't too scared and even felt somewhat relieved when another student's father confirmed that he hadn't heard anything. Just to be safe, Brett called the Travis County Sheriff's Office, but they didn't tell him much about the incident. He still wasn't worried until his wife's phone rang. Someone from the 512 area code, Travis County, was calling. It was the sheriff's office. The parents were informed that Jack had gone missing after falling into the lake. However, the search wouldn't resume until daybreak. During that dreadful phone conversation, the police told the father that Jack fell into the water while attempting a backflip. The parents immediately doubted this because their son wouldn't have been able to do a backflip, especially on a boat. To confirm their thoughts, they later heard another story: Jack fell overboard while he was feeling nauseous. 2 days after the tragic incident, the police no longer attempted to find Jack alive and focused their efforts on locating his body. The Elliots mourned, and not knowing how their son had died only intensified their pain. They simply wanted to know the truth and find Jack. As if in response to their pleas, several teenagers who were on the boat gathered with their parents in the conference room of the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel in Fort Worth. The students activated the speakerphone and called Brett and Amy, promising to reveal the whole truth. Elle mostly spoke. Sobbing loudly, she assured the Elliots that the teenagers sympathized with them over Jack's death and all the stories they had to hear as his parents. The girl confessed that she had been at the helm, although she noted that no one was really in control of the boat. However, none of the students could say how Jack fell overboard. "We don't know how Jack fell overboard," she said. "We don't know if he stood up to move and slipped or was fixing his hair. We don't know what he was doing. These are the most honest answers we can provide you right now," the girl assured them. But that wasn't true. Gathered in the hotel with their parents, the teenagers had previously decided not to tell the Elliots the truth. However, not everyone agreed to keep silent. Soon after the call with Brett, the father of one of the teenagers who was present in the hotel conference room contacted them. "Jack didn't fall overboard," he said. "He was pushed." Lake Travis is an artificially created body of water, with a depth of 64 meters, and a length of over 100 kilometers. The shores are lined with pecan tree groves, and their tangled branches seem to rise straight from the depths. 16 divers, 5 boats, and search teams arrived at the lake and began the search, despite the obstructing tree groves. They had a submersible apparatus with an attached camera. However, it couldn't capture clear footage in the murky water. Brett Elliott managed to contact the California-based company, Dua Marine Operations. They specialize in deep-sea technologies, underwater exploration, and salvaging wreckage after disasters such as plane crashes. Dua employees brought a remotely operated underwater vehicle, ROV, with a sonar to create a map of the lake's underwater world. Sending people down without this mapping would have been too dangerous. The row traversed the top of the tree groves, creating a map of them. Within a day or two, Jack's body was discovered at a depth of 33 meters. Another row with a mechanical arm lifted the body to a shallower depth, where divers could retrieve it. Overall, the search took about 10 days. Brett and Amy received their son's body but still didn't receive answers to their questions. until one person who was on the boat decided to speak directly to Jack's parents. Carly Martin, a former TCU student, secretly traveled from Chicago to Orange County in December 2019 with her mother to tell the Elliots what she knew, that Delaney pushed Jack into the water. Carly didn't take part in that disgraceful phone call. According to her, she didn't lie to the police either. However, she was so traumatized by what happened and the consequences of that trip to the lake that she dropped out of college. Her conversation with the Elliots became a turning point for her. That conversation, Carly said, was the beginning of my healing. It was the toughest conversation of my life, telling the parents how their son died and revealing all the lies surrounding his death, admits Carly. I couldn't believe there was one person on that boat who was capable of telling the truth to the parents, that Delaney pushed Jack into the water. But now Brett and Amy have even more questions. Delaney and Jack were friends. Why would she push him overboard? Why are all the other students covering for her? In order to get answers to their own questions, they will have to take legal action. In January 2020, the Elliots filed a lawsuit against Carson, Delaney, and Elle, hoping to compel them to testify and tell the truth about what happened that day. If they continued to evade answers, they faced charges of perjury. By the end of 2020, several teenagers had given sworn statements. Despite their attempts to invoke the Fifth Amendment, which protects against self-incrimination, the investigation managed to uncover new details. The day started off perfectly. The whole group was having a great time. Some were swimming in the lake, others sunbathed or wakeboarded. Carson showed his friends where the life jackets were stored. However, apart from that, he did not provide any safety instructions on the boat. So the young people were dancing on the slippery wet deck of the moving vessel while music blasted from the speakers. When the sun began to set, Jack sat on the railing at the bow of the boat. He was not alone but with Delaney. The other students either didn't pay attention to them or simply didn't see them, and the only person who witnessed this incident was Elle. She saw Delaney and Jack flirting and kissing. At some point, Delaney playfully pushed Jack, but this light touch was enough for the young man to fall overboard. Almost immediately, the boat made a loud noise, and the students realized they had hit something. But to their horror, they realized that the propeller had struck Jack's body. Panic ensued. Delaney kept repeating, "He fell, I didn't mean to push him." After the students failed to retrieve Jack from the water, they returned to the shore, pouring out the remaining alcohol, and agreeing to lie about what actually happened. It's astonishing that after Jack's death, his friends lacked the empathy to overcome their desire to avoid the consequences of their actions. They decided that there was nothing they could do for him anymore and that they needed to worry about their own interests. In reality, they should have immediately contacted the police and told them everything. As for the alcohol, they could have simply remained silent about it. It's unbelievable that 11 people agreed to deceive others. Elle Weber didn't even give her real name to the police. Did she really think the police would never find her just because she claimed to be a supermodel? Did she forget that there were 10 other people on the boat? Perhaps she wanted to blend into the crowd when they disembarked on the shore. But the lies of the other students were even more serious and naive. They couldn't enjoy their time at the lake without incident but considered themselves clever enough to outsmart the police. It feels as if they decided to reenact the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer, where a group of young people decides to cover up someone's death. However, the students probably didn't watch the movie to the end because things don't turn out well for the characters. It's like being inspired by a cruise ship after watching only the first 20 minutes of the movie Titanic. Regardless, the lawsuit was settled confidentially out of court. However, by the end of 2021, the students faced criminal charges, not for Jack's death, but for concealing evidence. The most serious charges were brought against Delaney and Carson for tampering with evidence, as Delaney deleted the video on her phone, and Carson disposed of alcohol overboard. They face imprisonment for up to 10 years and a maximum fine of $10,000. Another student, Joshua Evans, may face punishment for providing alcohol to minors. Anthony Salazar is charged with perjury, and L. Weber is accused of providing false statements to a police officer. Now the students claim that they were coerced and terrified by what was happening. They regret not telling the police everything from the beginning. Delaney even got a tattoo of Jack's initials on her wrist to always remember him, and how much he loved life. It's quite possible that when the students got rid of the alcohol or deleted the video, they didn't realize that it was criminally punishable evidence concealment because they knew that Jack's death was an accident. They went to the lake without planning to kill anyone, and this tragic incident clearly demonstrates the consequences of a dangerous mix of alcohol, recklessness, impulsiveness, and poor decisions. They will all have to live with the consequences of their actions for the rest of their lives.